Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. Today's webinar is about deliver custom e-commerce. Thank you for taking your time in your visual schedule to join us today. My name is Jose Caso. I am the LANSA Product Marketing Manager. Please feel free to do questions in the Q&A option in the bottom of your screen. We'll have a brief moment to answer the questions after the webinar has finished. This webinar is going to be recorded and is going to be available after the webinar has concluded. As for now, I would like to introduce today's presenter. Andrew is one of our LANSA senior engineers, and he's going to be talking all his experience about how to deliver a custom e-commerce experience. Okay, without any further introduction, over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Jose. I guess first thing is, what is LANSA's e-commerce solution? I guess that's a good place to start. And then we'll have a look at an example, like a sample demonstration of the product in the way that it would be delivered initially, right? Because every single e-commerce solution we make is highly customized based on our customers' requirements. So we'll take a look at what is our e-commerce solution. We'll go through a little tour of sort of a plain Jane version of the e-commerce solution. And then we'll talk a little bit about, as we're doing that and here and there all throughout the presentation, talk about what makes this solution good in terms of, well, how it integrates with other systems that you might have on site. We'll have a look at a case study also, and look at how your site could change and could look and could be integrated and could deliver other features that you might not even have thought about. And part of the reason that you might not have thought about this is because, well, we've been doing this for a very long time since e-commerce came out, and we come supply with a whole bunch of ideas to work with your technical group, with your marketing group, with your C-level individuals to come up with the best solution for your e-commerce requirements. So what is LANSA Commerce Edition? Commerce Edition being the name of this. So, well, let's just think that e-commerce has been a necessary feature of any particular company now. It started off as something where, we'll just show a web page or something, and a few companies got into it. We started suggesting that, hey, e-commerce is going to be very, very big. We saw Gartner and a whole bunch of other companies saying, consultants saying, here's the sales levels, in 5 years and 10 years that we think is going to happen. But it all really happened, right? So now any company that really wants to make its mark in the industry really has to have an e-commerce solution. So given that, there's a lot of players out there. What we do is we try to help those customers, help those people, those companies that have a highly complex back-end system, an ERP, or maybe a couple different ERPs or highly customized ERPs, and they don't want to shoehorn themselves into a saran wrap packed solution. So we also, these companies, these customers of ours also want more functionality out of these solutions, these e-commerce solutions also. WordPress is just an example where it looks so easy to just pick out a design and say, hey, that's what we want. Great, it looks good visually, that is one important thing also, is to stand out from the rest. But the other thing is, again, is to consider some of the things that make any other solution very difficult to implement. For example, custom items or something like that, or legacy systems. You have an IBM in the background, or a series of Windows applications in the background that you have to integrate with all separately, right? And also, you want to make sure that it is some kind of an implementation that is easily extendable after the fact, so that you're not just getting something that looks good. It works decently well today, and then you find that in the future you've got a lot of work to do to change it. A lot of parties are involved in changing it. Maybe you have to invite the original consultants back, or you have to have heavy involvement of your IT group. And we're going to address a little bit of that in our conversation, or my presentation of one of our customers that actually has used our e-commerce solution. And as I mentioned before, there's a lot of entries in this space, the e-commerce space, of packages that you can install. But the thing is, there's just so many of them. How do you pick and choose and shoehorn yourself? Like I said, how do you shoehorn yourself into one of those solutions? Well, we take that headache away and allow you to implement all your ideas and more into one site, into your site, right? Other solutions also require a lot of programming staff that's have to use different technologies, a variety of technologies to deliver your site. LANSA reduces that reliance, can eliminate that reliance also on full stack programmers and technologies. And after the fact, you have that ability then to maintain that application either yourself, either the marketing department, say, making certain types of changes to the site. The technical department, your IT group, can easily learn how to maintain this type of a site, also this type of an application, and its interfaces to everything that you have in your organization also. So LANSA Commerce Edition has a whole bunch of reasons for showing up in your business, and a whole bunch of advantages. So what are some of the features? So just some of the features. So let's look at the groupings, right? So there is a whole storefront that's available here. So things like, your catalog. I mean, it's probably one of the first things you think about is, I want to get my catalog out there. And, as a search engine, and some sort of search engine optimization available in there, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the storefront. And we'll look at some of those, and we'll talk a little bit more of some of these in a couple slides later. Order management also, because not only do you want to get your product catalog out there, but you also want to be able to take orders from either your suppliers or your end consumers. So various different bits of functionality for that, including payment even, right? User authentication. You want to make sure that you provide a robust way of identifying who these people are that are using your sites and who are ordering from you also, and allow them maybe even to manage their own organization, if this is users within their own organization. So if this was a supplier of yours or a vendor of yours, you supply them with one ID, and then maybe they can go ahead and create more IDs for themselves, just based on the level of functionality that you've assigned to their super user, in air quotes. So user authentication, inquiries, right? So not only do you want to be able to show your catalog and take orders and identify who's doing the searching and ordering, but you also want to give them the ability, once they've ordered, to see what's happened with that order, to track that order once it's been shipped, to be able to look at their outstanding balances for invoicing. So there's a lot of inquiry type information that you might want to have in your e-commerce solution also. And then there's contact management, lead generation. You being able to use the site in a number of different ways to be able to target some of the people who are who are using your site, who are registered to order off of your site, to give them up-to-date information about things that they may have been looking for that they couldn't find before, or specials of the month or something, or be able to track the type of functionality that they're looking at. So there's a whole bunch of information in contact management, a whole bunch of features in contact management that is included within Commerce Edition also. And then there's the administration of the site also. So it's not just we come in and we program this thing and we customize the e-commerce solution to your needs. But there's also, what do we leave you with? What can you do after the fact, right? So that's where you get to do a lot of your own work. So things like menu management, setting up different upsell and cross-sell products, so that you don't have to keep going back into the page and changing the HTML to do all of that. You can do that in a menu-oriented way. And also things like multilingual maintenance. And multilingual maintenance can be used in a couple of different ways also. Just as an example, yes, you might want to offer your site in English and in Spanish, maybe even in French if you're doing business up in Canada, for example. So there's there's a whole bunch of different things that you can do in the back end also to manage that site. And we'll take a quick peek at that also when we look at the demo. So that's sort of the major areas of features that we offer. But just, I'm going to do a real quick little thing here. I don't want to scare you here, but just in the storefront features, here's just a partial list of what you might implement out of our e-commerce solution into your e-commerce solution. So, for example, the multilingual that I just talked about, the omni-channel that I was I sort of addressed a little bit, where you can target vendors with their cell phones, text messages, email, track emails or use emails in the process of ordering or in order confirmation, etc. Full web pages, work with tablets. So there's a lot of different ways that LANSA can be presented in this solution also, and that you can work with your customers and your vendors. So catalog to cart features, and one is an example there is faceted searching. We're going to look at a really good example of that when we look at the case study in just a few minutes. Breadcrumbs is another example that a lot of people like, so that you can see where I am in the navigation of my website, the e-commerce site, and always know that here's how I get back and maybe move forward if I got lost somewhere. Product details features, right? So you might also have, here are those cross-sell, upsell products, the related products. What are some of the products that I've looked at before that maybe I was interested in and I just never got around to ordering them, or they were sort of I needed to keep them on the horizon somewhere. So there's a lot of product details features that are built in and can be implemented into your solution. Carts, shopping cart and checkout features. So there's taking what's in your cart and converting that into a quote to send to your salespeople, so they can then look at a large order or a specialized order and come back to the customer with a resolved quote that they can then turn into an order. So that makes that whole process a lot easier, rather than being paper-based or mail-based or phone-based or anything like that. Credit card ordering is another example here, where you can, we've done a lot of interfacing with things with services like Authorize.net and Moneris and PayPal. So there's a lot of opportunity there also. So that's just and in terms of security also. There's also information, of course, we're PCI compliant. PCI compliance is something that is very important. So that's something that's we've built into the e-commerce solution also. And then there's more user self-service features, like the different types of inquiries and order status or shipment tracking. Customer service features also, like a feedback mechanism to say, here's what I think about this product. I wish this was a little bit better, or this particular product, this particular order item. I ordered this before. I want to make sure this is the right thing. This is the right product that I'm ordering, right? So there's a lot of ability for people not just to click and buy, but also to click, buy, and comment also. So even more core administration features like role-based permissions. So you have certain users within your company that have the ability to work with certain vendors and maybe not other vendors, right? So you've rather certain vendors might have different stores, and that those stores, within those stores, you've got some people that can work across all stores and order for all stores, and certain people can only order for their own store, just as an example, right? Content management features also, like email templates as an example, so that you don't have to keep going back to IT to say, I want to change how this email that we're sending out for this month's specials. You can do that in the maintenance configuration after the fact as a person in your marketing department. And international support features, well, multilingual administration also, as I mentioned before. All right, so that was a really fast, well, probably a really fast, view of a little bit of some of the features that we provide. Now, probably one of the easiest ways to sort of get across a little bit of this is to show a demonstration system. We have a demonstration system called the Back9 golf system, and where we can sign in as a vendor to look at some of our functionality, to look at some of our functionality here. So let's start off by zooming over to our demonstration system here. I'm just going to log in here. Let me, this might have been up here for a while. Let me just refresh that so you can see. You'll notice down here, I'm behind a firewall. So we're just having trouble connecting with Facebook. So ignore that person behind the curtains there. So I'm just going to sign on as a user, not an internal user, but as a vendor. So I'm signing on as Harvey in part of the LNA organization. I'm not even sure what that LNA stands for in our case. And provide a password. There's full functionality for forgot a password, all that typical functionality that you would expect. And if you want to become a new customer, we also have the register new accounts with full functionality in there. So there's everything you would expect there. All right, log in. So I log in, and the first thing that happens, because of who I signed on as, I'm presented with a number of accounts, so a number of stores, say, right? And I may say, okay, because I'm sort of in the corporate office looking down upon all my stores and saying, I want to work with that particular store there, the Tiger Woods store in Florida. I believe it was Florida, or was that? It probably wasn't Florida. Sorry. All right. So first thing that comes up is the best sellers, lists, different clubs that we found that a lot of people are buying, or maybe the algorithm is, we look at all the stuff that you are selling to your customers or you're buying from us, really, right? And we'll provide a little bit of an upfront ability to do a quick order for them. for these products. Also some recommendations. Now these recommendations might be based on past order trends, and maybe even just things that we think would be of interest to you because of maybe some special pricing also, or we just have a whole bunch of these putters and we want to get rid of them real fast, right? So you've got a whole bunch of different ways of implementing this, right? And then the orders. So I'm just going to skip over a couple of these for now. But we've got a couple of inquiries here also, order inquiry, and then also the ability to do a quick shop, which I'll just give you an example of that, where you can just sit down and, as a data entry person almost, right, instead of picking and choosing, searching and finding and selecting products in a catalog like this, you already have it on a pad of paper. Your sales guy has already said, these are the products that, or not your sales guy, but your vendor sales guy. These are products I want to order, and it's on a pad of paper. So there, we'll take a quick peek at that also. And then there's the catalog itself. And in this case here, we said, all right, well, here are the different categories of products. Let's have a look at the iron club sets, right? So here I can say, well, there it is. I either want to show it in a grid like this, or maybe I want to show it in a list form instead. So there's a lot of opportunity for customization there also. If I pick one of these items, I get some more information about them. So here's information that comes from the ERP. There's the availability of what's available to you to buy, and what that availability is could have very complex logic behind it. And your pricing, what are we selling it to you for? So you selling to your vendors and vendors and customers. So various different bits of information about that particular product. So if I say, you know what, I want to add one of those, right? So I'm going to update the order. I then see, look at that. Now my shopping cart has one item in there. And I could look at that shopping cart and clear it, say, so let's just look at that shopping cart. There it is. Ta-da, let's go into the shopping cart itself and see, well, here are the items in the shopping cart, just one, right? I might want to get rid of that item. There it is. I want to confirm I want to get rid of that particular item. I've got no items in my cart now. So there's so all that expected functionality is there, but all integrated directly to your ERP. So that we're not talking about some interface files that can get all confused, but we're dealing with your numbers and your pricing structure, your availability structure in your inventory system, etc. So quick shop was another example that I mentioned, where I can turn and I say, hey, you know what? I've got a list on a pad beside me, and I want to order, let's see, the 1,000 SXs. There it is, right? And how many do I want of those? I want 2 of those, right? And so and off I go, and I can move on to just maybe the 1,000 S even, right? So and I get and I get appropriate error message and whatnot, just saying, oh, the quantity has to be specified, etc. So that's one way to do an order, right? Another way to do an order is to say, hey, you know what? I've got a whole spreadsheet full of information, full of items I want to order. So maybe it's right here. There it is. I've got this list of products and quantities that I want to order. So I might just I can, in this particular implementation, we said, hey, you know what? Let's allow you to enter all these items and in a spreadsheet, copy them into here, and then just hit enter, right? Hit apply, and then all of these now have been put in. Here are the items and the quantities that we put in, and we say great. All right, so now that we've put items, and there are 34 units in this for $13,000 worth of product. Let's go straight to order this. Right, so proceed to place order. And so here it is. Here's some here's some the ship to and build to information that was taken from your database. You might want to change the ship to address to something else. So you might have 15 different ship to addresses that you want to select from. You want to use a purchase order number or a credit card. Maybe it's a purchase order and some delivery instructions. I go ahead and I say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and place this order. So now I've placed that order. There it is. It says there's the confirmation, and I can go ahead and say I want to print this. Of course, you're probably going to be emailed this information, etc. Now we can go back to the dashboard. So we've just looked at different ways that we can shop for things. Look at the dashboard, and we see here are the some of the recent orders, and I can drill into them and have a look at those orders. We have a very quick turnaround apparently, because this order that it just created for $13,000, it already got invoiced. So we can look at that invoice, etc. Right? So that's just a quick look at the product side of things. But there's also there's the item cross references, the my item, your item numbers, and cross referenced with your vendors item numbers, so that the vendor, me signed on as a vendor as Harvey, I can go in and create my own cross reference, so that I can use my order item IDs and place orders using my IDs, and that'll just get translated in the background to you, the supplier, to your item numbers. So just a little bit more friendliness applied in here. So these are all relatively common types of features everywhere, but this is heavily customized to your requirements. I'm just giving you a vanilla view of what comes out of the box. Right? What comes out of the box that we even start from. And even then, as you saw from the list of features, this is even a light view of all the features that we have, right? So now if we look at accounts, right? Accounts is the area where I can say, hey, these are those different stores that I've got, right? And again, this is me, the vendor, right? And I can change which store I'm working with, right? So I just went from Tiger Woods back into Tiger Woods, but I could have selected one of the other accounts to go into, like the Arnold Palmer or something like that, right? And go into that, because I am a corporate office person, and so I can select which store I'm working with. So that's I want. Now, if I look at if I look at account settings, one of the things in account settings is the different users that I can sign on as me as a vendor, right? So that's for example, Andrew V. Oh, that's me. Andrew V. I can change their password, but look at things like, what are the things that Andrew can do? Well, you can't modify order templates, but you can look at order inquiry and invoice inquiry. You can do the quick shop. He can't change any accounts. So if I were to sign on as Andrew V, I only have access to these features that are listed here, right? Now that list of features can go up or down depending on what it is that you decide you want to implement within your organization. The other thing is, I can also say that Andrew is only able to look at the, work with the Tiger Woods. So when I sign on as Andrew, I will go straight to Tiger Woods rather than having a selection of stores that I might be able to work with, right? So this is, again, just a sample of some of the functionality that can be implemented, right? So that's on the user side. Now, as we mentioned earlier, on the maintenance side, right? So I can go back in and this is not going to look pretty because, well, this is internal, right? To you, right? So it's not a It's not something that's that you would provide to your external users, but we would customize this to look like your other applications internally. Because remember, the website here is for your customers and vendors and things like that. This site here is for your own internal users. So we would customize this, the look and feel of this separately, differently, to match your internal requirements, right? So here I might, if I signed in as, let's try add, that's an odd way of spelling admin, Andrew. Admin at ce.com in this case, right? And there's the password there. I could tell you the password, but because we're behind a firewall anyway, so good luck getting in. So now it's just a welcome screen. This could be any kind of a welcome screen, graphical. It could be charts of progress of things or whatever. This is mainly for the marketing group, right? So to be able to go in and say, I need to change certain things about this application. So if we looked at site admin, so we have that ability to go in and do product maintenance, B2B user maintenance. So look at all those different B2B users, super users, and everybody that have been defined in your system. Security administration. Look at different promotions maintenance. So you want to say, well, here's what we've got available. That's for the next. For next month or currently, or things that have expired already in the past. So you can create different deals that you don't have to take the site down and then adjust the HTML and all the files there and then bring it back up to allow for these types of deals. This is all data based, right? So you can put in these deals that apply to certain whatever that functionality is. But in this case here, we just said, hey, you know what? Here's a simple one. We're going to offer 10% off of a bunch of stuff, right? But if your organization needs to have more complex types of deals, promotions available, that's something we can extend this with very, very easily, right? Content management, right? So different pages and options that are available within the application. So you might create a new page and want to attach that to your current website, and through this we have that ability to say, okay, here's a new product focus page that we just generated using Commerce Edition. And then we're going to plug that into a particular menu within the system. And that's where we can do that here. Static tables like, lists of states and, local tax tables or state tax tables, et cetera, because you presumably are going to be selling outside of the city that you are based in. You're probably selling across the country. And, hopefully you're also, able to sell internationally also. So these are important things to be able to enter into the system. This is mainly for the shopping cart functionality and things like that. There's, of course, because we're heavily integrated with your ERP systems, that functionality can also come out of that. If there's ready to go functionality in your ERP system to get that type of information, we can just plug it straight into that also. All right, so there's a whole bunch of that kind of thing also that's available here, and some miscellaneous system settings, but also in multilingual. Here's where we can sort of say, hey, you know what? Let's have a look at how this might work. Say if you are delivering this system in French and English or Spanish or whatever. Here we've configured that there's 4 possible languages. Now we can go in and say we want to add more languages down here, but here's the list of languages we've got in this application so far. So if I went back into here and I said, you know what, I want to see this, let's just log out here. So we can just start from scratch and say, hey, you know what, if I say I want to see this in, say, French, right? Now we see, a lot of the information is turned into French. This wasn't changed because we didn't offer translation for that, right? But a lot of these other ones like email, password, mot de passe, right? Client enregistré, there's, all that's in French. So how do we do that? Do we go in and change, create another page with a bunch of HTML for that? No, this is where we can, just as an example of how you can dynamically change any of these, right? If we look at, say, the login screen, there we go, the login screen right there, right? And so now we look at, here's a bunch of, a lot of the different elements, screen elements that exist on the login screen, right? So here we can say, all right, I want to change, say, the customer login, right? So I'm going to change this, right? And I want to change the French over to, from, say, connection client. I want to change that to, well, a more slang French, le login. I mean, I think every English person can understand that one also, right? So I save that, right? Multilingual variables have been saved, right? And immediately, I'm just going to refresh this, right? So immediately I see that now if I go into French here, we see it says le login instead of connexion client, right? So that's just an example of the data-basedness of the full e-commerce solution in Commerce Edition, LANSA's Commerce Edition. So that's what I'm going to show for this. Let's go back and let's have a look at this case study, a real quick look at this case study, right? So some of you may have seen a webinar some time ago that we did with Rotary Corporation. And I'm going to do a really short version of that, right? So Rotary Corporations, just so you know who they are, they're the world's largest supplier of parts and accessories for outdoor power equipment like lawnmowers and chainsaws and snowblowers and go-karts even. I noticed that in their system. So just about any internal, external parts, belts and chains and everything that you can think of. They do not sell to end users, to people like me. They won't sell to me, but they work via dealers. Now, one thing that's interesting about this also is that they had their old site didn't allow for any kind of reporting. There's no Google Analytics integration. Their search engine optimization wasn't working very well because all their URLs were dynamically created. So search engine optimization engines, they couldn't track what was there because it kept changing, right? So there wasn't anything dependable to register, right? And also everything that they needed to do had to go through their IT group. So their marketing was left behind. Things were getting old. Their catalog was stored in an external FoxPro database, and so they couldn't use it in their website or update it easily to allow for dynamic catalog, up-to-date dynamic catalog downloading, like generation and downloading like a PDF of their catalog to even people like me and their dealers. So there were just a number of things that just they just weren't happy with as time went by. Of course, everything was great when they first created it, but as time went by, their requirements changed, the competition changed also, and they needed to sort of keep up and get ahead. Now, so their solution not only allowed them to work with the website, much as I just described, in our back 9 demonstration, but it also added a lot more functionality in there that even the back 9 might not have had. Faceted searches is one of those features. But the brilliance of Rotary, in my opinion, is that yes, they can only sell to a dealer. So if I want something, I have to go to a dealer to buy this thing. But I can go to their website. I can go to Rotary's website and look up an item. Well, let's have a look at that, right? Let's go straight to Rotary's website and look up something, right? So here we go, Rotary Corp. I'm just gonna, so I'm not gonna log in. I'm here as Andrew, right? Looking at things. If I just go to say something like, all products. So here's a lot of categories of products in here, right? So I might say, oh, one of the things, what I want to look at are blades, right? And because me personally, I have a mower in my garage and I need to replace those blades. They've been sharpened just too many times or whatever else. So I'm an end consumer going in here, even though this is a vendor site only, right? A B2B type site. And I say, okay, I want to look at, say, original equipment replacement blades, right? So there's 815 products. Like, oh man, how do I look at, how do I find my stuff in out of 850 items? Well, one is I can download this whole thing and then read over it in a PDF overnight. Or what I can also do is I can use this faceted search, right? So filtering through the different items and say, you know what, here's what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at, mulchers, right? So it'll go through and it'll say, all right, now we've got just mulchers, right? So now if I look at, I've got, oh, there we go, some great number of pages of mulchers, right? Here, and so there's my presentation. And maybe I want to say the length I'm looking for is a 16-inch length only, right? So now I can go in there. So I can look at what I've got in my hand and whittle it down to the few items that might match what I'm looking, that might match what I need, right? And so I say, okay, now in this case, is that the only mulcher there was? Well, let's say I'm just going to go back here because I want to show you that there's also the ability to say, I want to take that item and I want to take, say, that item. And I'm just going to do 4 in a row here, right? So I want to take those 4 items. And I want to compare them side by side, right? So now I can see that, that's what those products are. Here's the width of them, there's the length. They're all 16 inches. Of course, they have to be 16 inches, right? Because that's what I've used the faceted search for, right? So here's a bunch of information. I say, you know what? Of all of them, this first one's, this second one is the one that I'm really interested in looking at. I can just click on that and look at the details of that particular item, right? And what does it fit? All the different types of information I, as an end consumer, would need. The thing then is that through this site, I have the ability then to look up dealers. And that's where I think the brilliance is. This is available, this deep search is available to everybody, including the vendors and including people like me. And then I say, there's in here, I missed where it is, but in here, I also have the ability to do a search for vendors, right? So that I can find out who's the nearest vendor to me. And I can say, here's the product I need. Can you order that for me? I'll pay you and you'll pay a Rotary Corporation and everybody's happy. So the brilliance here is that not only is Rotary making it easy for the dealers to work with Rotary's systems and get out of ERP level information, but it also attracts end consumers like me and redirects them to their list of dealers, increasing business even that much more, right? So there's a lot of positives that have occurred in implementing Rotary's e-commerce solution here. There's a long list of things within the LANSA website. You can go to our page with all our case studies. They're one of many case studies that we've had. And you can look up more information about their particular or a number of other customers that we've got. All right, so now you've decided that you want to go along with the Commerce Edition offering. The next thing then is all right, well, we got to engage services because this is it's not really because of the complexity of your back-end systems and your requirements and your graphics that you've decided to, or you're in the process of deciding to deliver. You really need somebody outside of your internal IT to help with that full process. It eventually gets delivered to your IT, or we can handle everything for you, after that if you want. But there's there's this, everything happens sort of in a couple of stages. But the first thing is, what do you expect? What can you expect from us? Well, first thing is, after you've decided to use us, to use our professional services group, we organize a kickoff, right? So a kickoff meeting, and there we get to sort of know a little bit more about what's the executive vision of this whole thing, because really, who's paying the bills? It's the C-level people within the company. Information about maybe the business case for that project. Why are you interested in this and stuff? So that's all part of the kickoff, right? What is your what's your ROI measurements, so that we can make suggestions of the hundreds of sites that we've done, custom sites that we've done over the years since the beginning of e-commerce, really. We can provide you with a whole bunch of suggestions from our professional staff on how to meet all these objectives, right? And then the next thing is to look at things like your current business and your business pain points. So what do you feel is wrong within your organization? Looking at how you want to change customer service, or maybe you want to change your sales numbers in certain areas of the business. So these are all things that we review also. What's in your current website? Excuse me. What's in your current website? So, of course, we want to know, you got to know what's inside your current website to get an idea of where you've been already, what has worked and what hasn't worked, right? And how those, how you have interfaced with your backend ERP, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you're going through third party. There's a lot of variables there. So we get to know that also. So that's all on day one. So, as a sample, I'm not saying this is exactly what happens in each, because every engagement is a little bit customized, but these are the main focuses of our scoping effort, right? Next thing is, all right, so now we've sort of dug a lot about your business, your requirements. And so let's have a look at, well, what does Commerce Edition offer under the covers based on all those things, all those features, that long list of features I gave you? Which of those features match what you're trying to accomplish, and which features aren't there that we need to custom develop for you? So that's that's the Commerce Edition review that we do. And then we start getting into, all right, so let's look at what we want to deliver, even from a marketing point of view. What's the structure of the menuing? What's the login page going to look like, right? What languages are we going to offer, right? Is there a consumer, element to all of this? Is there just a dealer element to all of this? So there's a lot of that information that we need to get, right? And then look at system integration. What is your ERP, right? And what interfaces do we have available for that? Maybe you have, you're using multiple ERPs, third-party ERPs, cloud ERPs, and things like that with REST APIs available. And then there's also, how do we take what you already have in your current website or in your ERP and manipulate that to work with this new site? The next, so then the deliverables out of this are a project requirements document, a project plan based on this initial scope, and then an initial, and it has to be initial because this is just a 2-day, possibly just a 2-day scoping exercise. What is the initial price sort of quote that's, or price summary, not so much a quote, but a price summary that takes into account all the the e-commerce site deliverables that we need to put in, and the products that are required, LANSA integrator or Visual LANSA. What are the products from the LANSA stable, product stable, that have to be included in the pricing also. So that's what you end up with in the and that's what you end up with the that's my watch talking to me. And that's what we go through really at a high level here in a scoping exercise, and what you can expect as a result from that. All right, so I know I've gone probably over time. Sorry, Jose.
Don't
But
worry about it, Andrew.
I'll take my hands off now.
Great. Well, I guess it's the time for the questions. And if you have any questions, you can put it down in the Q&A section just below your screen. But we already have some questions here that they already arrived as the presentation was going. And this is, I guess, a very valid question, is how do you use credit card purchases in our solution?
Right. So I kind of glossed over it really quickly, but there, instead of reinventing the wheel or trying to become a financial organization ourselves, we make use of other services or other secure services like authorize.net as an example, right? Or PayPal. So those are some of the services that we integrate with to securely process credit card purchases. These and when I say securely, the key here is that we're not holding credit card numbers and expiry dates and things like that. We're using modern methods to process these. So we're not inventing this. We're using existing popular services. Hopefully that answers that question. So
yeah, well, we have another question that is, does it provide both B2B and B2C functionality?
Yes.
Is that one purchase or two?
Sorry, I guess I should have waited for the full question. So yes, we do provide. I kind of glossed over the B2C portion of all of this because I've concentrated on B2B, because most of our customers have come to us for B2B, business to business type functionality. Part of the reason for that is because there are a lot of players out there for B2C functionality that are shrink wrapped, easy to implement. B2B is a different animal. Business to business is a different animal from business to consumer. And one of the reasons for that is that there's so much tight integration with your backend ERP, maybe even multiple ERPs, a lot more ways of ordering, of tracking who uses the applications, and security around those, all those things. So that's just a really short list of some of the reasons why we really target the B2B environments. But in those cases where we do deliver B2B solutions, it only then makes sense that you would provide B2C solutions for those customers also, right? Because if you're going to do the work of implementing the B2B, you've got most of the work already done for your B2C. So so that's all one product. It's all Commerce Edition. It's just that there's a little bit more work because we're looking at two different sets of users and possibly two different ways of showing the information. That's just in a nutshell. Hopefully that answers that question.
I have another question here that it says, how's the licensing scheme? And it says that some solutions out there, they charge you per transaction. And so even if you invest and you create all your customized solution, you end up paying this licensing forever and ever for every transaction.
Right. Okay, so for the details of the licensing and the pricing, I'll defer to our sales group. There it is. Contact us, sales@lansa.com. But again, using the term in a nutshell, no, we are not a per transaction type of environment. You own that software. You're paying maintenance on some of the LANSA products that are in there, but they are just products. We are not charging for for per service type arrangement. So some pieces of that may differ from that equation because, well, let's say authorize.net as an example, right? We're not in control of the agreement between yourselves and authorize.net. So you are paying, some service fees in that area. But as far as the LANSA software is concerned, what we're delivering to you, the e-commerce solution using Visual LANSA and possibly LANSA Integrator, those are just maintenance costs, purchase and maintenance costs, and there's no per transaction type costs involved.
Okay, great. Sorry, we do have other questions, but I think we're running out of time, and I guess
I'll apologize.
it gives you no other option but to try to move it offline, and we will be happy to answer them through email. But well, thank you very much for attending to this webinar on Deliver Custom E-commerce. And again, I'd like to thank Andrew Baisiunas, Senior Engineer, for this demonstration of Commerce Edition. And we hope that this webinar will inspire you to explore new possibilities with LANSA. In case you joined late, we'll soon be sharing a recording of this webinar. And well, as Andrew mentioned about Commerce Edition, this is a solution that it's part of the professional services team. And our team members, what they would do is that after understanding your business and short and long-term goals, they can tailor a strategy that is unique to your company and that supports your bottom line. And well, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact LANSA at sales@lansa.com. And well, today concludes today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Andrew.